Hello. Welcome along to another bit of our read along of The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. Tonight we are on chapter 14. Chapter 14, A Young Rajah. So tonight I think is a fairly lengthy chapter. It's longer than the ones we've been having anyway. So definitely tonight, you know the drill. Get yourself comfy, get yourself a drink, get yourself a snacky snack. Meet me back here when you're ready. So you're going to need to pause me, all right? Because I'm about to start reading. The moor was hidden in mist when the morning came and the rain had not stopped pouring down. There could be no going out of doors. Martha was so busy that Mary had no opportunity of talking to her, but in the afternoon she asked her to come and sit with her in the nursery. She came, bringing the stocking she was always knitting when there was nothing else. "What's the matter with thee?" she asked as soon as they sat down. "Thou looks as if thou'd something to say." I have found out what the crying was," said Mary. Martha let her knitting drop on her knee and gazed at her with startled eyes. "Thou hasn't. Has thou? Never." "I heard it in the night," Mary went on, "and I got up and I went to see where it was coming from. It was Colin. I found him." Martha's face became red with fright. "Here, Miss Mary," she said, half crying. "Thou shouldn't ha' done it. Thou shouldn't. Thou'll get me in trouble. I never told thee nothing about him, but thou'll get me in trouble. I shall lose my place. What'll mother do?" "You won't lose your place," said Mary. "He was glad I came. We talked, and he said he was glad I came." "Was he?" asked Martha. "Art thou sure? Thou don't know what he's like when anything vexes him. He's a big lad to cry like a baby, but when he's in a passion, he'll fair scream just to frighten us. He knows us daren't call our soul our own." "He wasn't vexed," said Mary. "I asked him if I should go away, and he made me stay. He asked me questions, and I sat on a big footstool, and I talked to him about India, and about the robin, and about the gardens. He just wouldn't let me go. He let me see his mother's picture. Before I left, I sang him to sleep." Martha fairly gasped with amazement. "I can scarcely believe thee," she protested. "It's as if they'd walked straight into a lion's den. If he'd been like he is most at times, he'd have throwed himself into one of his tantrums and roused the house. He won't let strangers look at him." "He let me look at him. I looked at him all the time, and he looked at me all of the time. We stared," said Mary. "Oh, I don't know what to do," cried agitated Martha. "If Mrs. Medlock finds out, she'll think I broke orders and told thee, and I shall be packed back to me mother." "He is not going to tell Mrs. Medlock anything about it yet. It's to be a sort of secret just as first," said Mary firmly. "And he says everybody is obliged to do as he pleases." "Aye, that's true enough. The bad lad," sighed Martha, wiping her forehead with her apron. "He says Mrs. Medlock must, and he wants me to come and talk to him every day, and you are to tell me when he wants me." "Me?" said Martha. "I shall lose me place. I shall for sure." "You can't if you are doing what he wants you to do, and everybody is ordered to obey him," Mary argued. Does that mean to say," cried Martha with wide-open eyes, "that he were nice to thee?" "I think he almost liked me," Mary answered. "Thou must have bewitched him," decided Martha, drawing a long breath. "Do you mean magic?" inquired Mary. "I've heard about magic in India, but I can't make it. I just went into his room, and I was so surprised to see him I stood and stared, and then he turned round and stared at me, and he thought I was a ghost or a dream, and I thought perhaps he was, and it was so strange being there all alone together in the middle of the night and not knowing about each other. We began to each ask each other questions, and when I asked him if I must go away, he said I must not." "Oh, the world's coming to an end," gasped Martha. "What's the matter with him?" asked Mary. Nobody knows for sure and certain. Mr. Craven went off his head like when he were born. The doctors thought he'd have been put in asylum, but it were because Mrs. Craven died like I told thee. He wouldn't set eyes on baby. He just raved and said it'd be another hunchback like him and it'd be better off dead. Is Colin a hunchback? Mary asked. He didn't look like a hunchback. He's not yet, said Martha, but he all began, like, wrong. Mother said that there were enough trouble raging in house to get any child wrong. They was afraid his back were weak, and they've always been taking care of it, keeping him lying down and not letting him go for walks. Once they made him wear a brace, but he fretted so he was downright ill. Then a big doctor came to see him and made him take it off. He talked to the other doctor quite rough, in a polite way. He said there'd been too much medicine and too much letting him have his own way. I think he's a very spoiled boy, said Mary. He's the worst young nowt as ever there was, said Martha. I won't say as he hadn't been ill a good bit. He's had coughs and colds that's nearly killed him 2 or 3 times. Once he had rheumatic fever and once he had typhoid. Mrs. Medlock did get a fright then. He'd been out of his head and he was talking to nurse, thinking he didn't know nothing, and she said, he'll die this time sure enough and best thing for him and everybody. And she looked at him and there he was, with his big eyes open, staring at her, as sensible as she was herself. She didn't know what had happened, but he just stared at her and says, you give me some water and stop talking. Do you think he will die? Asked Mary. Mother says there's no reason why any child should live that's got no fresh air and don't do nothing but lie on his back and read picture books and take medicine. He's weak and hates the trouble of being taken outdoors, and he gets cold so easy it makes him ill. Mary sat down and looked at the fire. I wonder, she said slowly, if it would not do him good to go out into the garden and watch things grow. It did me good. One of the worst fits he ever had were one time they took him out where the roses is by the fountain. He'd been reading in a paper about people getting something he called rose cold, and he began to sneeze and said he'd caught it. And then a new gardener as didn't know the rules passed by and looked at him curious. He threw himself into a passion, and he said he'd looked at him because he was going to be hunchback. He cried himself into a fever and was ill all night. If he ever gets angry with me, I'll never go and see him again, said Mary. He'll have thee if thee wants thee, said Martha. Thou may as well know that at start. Very soon afterwards a bell rang and she rolled up her knitting. I dare say nurse wants me to stay with him for a bit. I hope he's in a good temper. She was out of the room about 10 minutes and then she came back with a puzzled expression. Well, thou has bewitched him. He's up on his sofa with picture books. He's told the nurse to stay away until 6 o'clock. I'm to wait in next room. The minute she were gone, he called me to him and says, I want Mary Lennox to come and talk to me and remember you're not to tell anyone. You'd better go as quick as you can, Mary. Mary was quite willing to go quickly. She did not want to see Colin as much as she wanted to see Dickon, but she wanted to see him very much. There was a bright fire on the hearth as she entered his room, and in the daylight she saw it was a very beautiful room indeed. There were rich colours in the rugs and hangings and pictures and books on the walls, which made it look glowing and comfortable even in spite of the grey sky and falling rain. Colin looked rather like a picture himself. He was wrapped in a velvet dressing gown and sat against a big brocaded cushion. He had a red spot on each cheek. Come in, he said. I've been thinking about you all morning. I've been thinking about you too, said Mary. You don't know how frightened Martha is. She says Mrs. Medlock will think she told me about you, and then she'll be sent away. He frowned. Go and tell her to come in here. She is in the next room. Mary went and brought her back. Poor Martha was shaking in her shoes. Colin was still frowning. Have you to do what I please, or have you not? He demanded. I have to do what you please, sir, Martha faltered, turning quite red. Has Medlock to do what I please? Everybody has, sir, said Martha. Well then, If I order you to bring Miss Mary to me, how can Medlock send you away if she finds it out?" "Oh, please don't tell her, sir," pleaded Martha. "I'll send her away if she dares to say a word about such a thing," said Master Craven grandly. "She wouldn't like that, I can tell you." "Thank you, sir. I want to do my duty, sir." "What I want is your duty," said Colin more grandly still. "I'll take care of you. Now, go away." When the door closed behind Martha, Colin found Mistress Mary gazing at him as if he had set her wondering. "Why do you look at me like that?" he asked her. "What are you thinking about?" "I'm thinking about two things." "What are they? Sit down and tell me." "This is the first one," said Mary, seating herself on a big stool. "Once in India I saw a boy who was a Rajah. He had rubies and emeralds and diamonds stuck all over him. He spoke to his people just as you spoke to Martha. Everybody had to do everything he told them, in a minute. I think he would have done something bad if they hadn't. I shall make you tell me about Rajahs presently, but first tell me what the second thing was." "I was thinking," said Mary, "how different you are from Dickon." "Who is Dickon? What a strange name." She might as well tell him, she thought. She could talk about Dickon without mentioning the secret garden. She'd like to hear Martha talk about him. Besides, she longed to talk about him. It would seem to bring him nearer. "Dickon is Martha's brother. He is 12 years old. He is not like anyone else in the entire world. He can charm foxes and squirrels and birds, just as people in India can charm snakes. He plays a very soft tune on a pipe, and they come and listen." There were some big books on a table at his side, and he dragged one suddenly towards him. "There is a picture of a snake charmer in this book. Come and look." The book was a beautiful one with superb coloured illustrations, and he turned to one of them. "Can he do that?" he asked eagerly. "He doesn't. He played on his pipe, and they listened, but he doesn't call it magic. He says it's because he lives on the moor so much, and he knows their ways. He says he feels sometimes as if he was a bird or a rabbit himself. He likes them so much. I think he asked the robin some questions. It seemed as if they talked to each other in soft chirps." Colin lay on his back on his cushion, and his eyes grew larger and larger, and the spots on his cheeks burned. "Tell me more about him," he said. "He knows all about eggs and nests, and he knows where foxes and badgers and otters live. He keeps them secret so that the other boys won't find their holes and frighten them. He knows about everything that grows or lives on the moor." "Does he like the moor? How can he when it's such a great bare dreary place?" "It's the most beautiful place," protested Mary. "Thousands of lovely things grow on it, and there are thousands of little creatures, all busy building nests and making holes and burrows and chippering or singing or squeaking to each other. They are so busy and having such fun under the earth or in the holes and the trees of heather. It's their world." "How do you know all of this?" said Colin, turning on his elbow to look at her. "I've never been there once, really. I only drove over it in the dark. I thought it was hideous. Martha told me about it first, and then Dickon did. When Dickon talks, you feel as if you saw things and heard them, and as if you were standing in the heather with the sun shining and the gorse smelling like honey, and all full of bees and butterflies." "You never see anything if you are ill," said Colin restlessly. He looked like a person listening to a new sound in the distance and wondering what it was. "Well, you can't if you stay in your room," said Mary. "I couldn't go on to the moor," he said in a resentful tone. Mary was silent for a minute, and then she said something bold. "You might, sometime." He moved as if he was startled. "Go on the moor? How could I? I'm going to die." "How do you know?" said Mary unsympathetically. She didn't like the way he had of talking about dying. She did not feel very sympathetic. She felt rather as if he almost boasted about it. "I've heard it ever since I remember. They are always whispering about it and thinking I don't notice. They wish I would too." Mistress Mary felt quite contrary. She pinched her lips together. "If they wished I would, I wouldn't," she said. "Who wishes you would?" The servants. And of course Dr. Craven, because he would get Misselthwaite and be rich instead of poor. He daren't say so, but he always looks cheerful when I am worse. When I had typhoid fever, his face got quite fat. I think my father wishes it too. I don't believe he does, said Mary quite obstinately. That made Colin turn to look at her again. Don't you? He said. And then he lay back on his cushion and was still as if he were thinking, and there was quite a long silence. Perhaps they were both of them thinking strange things children do not usually think of. I like the Grand Doctor from London because he made them take the iron thing off, said Mary at last. Did he say you were going to die? No. Well, what did he say? He didn't whisper, Colin answered. Perhaps he knew I hated whispering. I heard him say one thing quite aloud. He said the lad might live if he would make up his mind to it, to put him in humour. It sounded as if he was in a temper. I'll tell you who would put you in humour, perhaps, said Mary, reflecting. She felt as if she would like this thing to be settled one way or the other. I believe Dickon would. He's always talking about live things. He never talks about dead things or things that are ill. He's always looking up in the sky to watch birds flying, or looking down at the earth to see something growing. He has such round blue eyes that are so wide open with looking about. And he laughs, such a big laugh with his wide mouth, and his cheeks are red as cherries. She pulled her stool nearer to the sofa, and her expression quite changed at the remembrance of the wide curving mouth and wide open eyes. See here, she said, don't let us talk about dying. I don't like it. Let us talk about living. Let us talk and talk about Dickon. And then we will look at your pictures. It was the best thing she could have said. To talk about Dickon meant to talk about the moor and about the cottage and the 14 people who lived in it on 16 shillings a week, and the children who got fat on the moor grass like the wild ponies, and about Dickon's mother and the skipping rope and the moor with the sun on it, and about pale green points sticking up out of the black sod. And it was all so alive that Mary talked more than she had ever talked before, and Colin both talked and listened as he had never done before. And they both began to laugh over nothing, as children will when they are happy together, and they laughed so that in the end they were making as much noise as if they had been two ordinary, healthy, natural, 2-year-old creatures, instead of a hard little unloving girl and a sickly boy who believed he was going to die. They enjoyed themselves so much that they forgot the pictures and they forgot the time. They had been laughing quite loudly over Ben Weatherstaff and his robin, and Colin was actually sitting up as if he had forgotten about his weak back when he suddenly remembered something. Do you know, there is one thing we have never once thought of, he said. We are cousins. It seemed strange that they had talked so much and never remembered this simple thing that they laughed more than ever, because they had got into the humour to laugh at anything. And in the midst of the fun, the door opened, and in walked Dr. Craven and Mrs. Medlock. Dr. Craven stared in actual alarm, and Mrs. Medlock almost fell back because he had accidentally bumped against her. "Good Lord!" exclaimed poor Mrs. Medlock, with her eyes almost starting out of her head. "Good Lord!" What is this?" said Dr. Craven, coming forward. "What does this mean?" Then Mary was reminded of the boy Rajah again. Colin answered as if neither the doctor's alarm nor Mrs. Medlock's terror were of the slightest consequence. He was a little disturbed or frightened, as if an elderly cat or dog had walked into his room. "This is my cousin, Mary Lennox," he said. "I asked her to come and talk to me. I like her. She must come and talk to me whenever I send for her." Dr. Craven turned reproachfully to Mrs. Medlock. "Oh, sir," she panted, "I don't know how it happened. There's not a servant on the place that they're took. They all have their orders." "Nobody told her anything," said Colin. "She heard me crying and found me herself. I'm glad she came. Don't be silly, Medlock." Mary saw that Dr. Craven did not look pleased, but it was quite plain that he dare not oppose his patient. He sat down by Colin and felt his pulse. I'm afraid there's been too much excitement. Excitement is not good for you, boy, he said. I should be excited if she kept away, answered Colin, his eyes beginning to look dangerously sparkling. I am better. She makes me better. The nurse must bring up her tea with mine. We will have tea together. Mrs. Medlock and Dr. Craven looked at each other in a troubled way, but there was evidently nothing to be done. It does look rather better, sir, ventured Mrs. Medlock, but, thinking the matter over, he looked better this morning before she came into the room. She came into the room last night. She stayed with me a long time. She sang a Hindustani song to me, and it made me go to sleep. I was better when I wakened up. I wanted breakfast. I want tea now. Tell Nurse Medlock. Dr. Craven did not stay for very long. He talked to the nurse for a few minutes when she came into the room and said a few words of warning to Colin. He must not talk too much. He must not forget that he was ill. He must not forget that he was very easily tired. Mary thought that there seemed to be a number of uncomfortable things he must not forget. Colin looked fretful and kept his strange black-lashed eyes fixed on Dr. Craven's face. I want to forget it, he said at last. She makes me forget it. That is why I want her. Dr. Craven did not look happy when he left the room. He gave a puzzled glance at the little girl sitting on the large stool. She had become a stiff, silent child again as soon as he entered, and he could not see what the attraction was. The boy actually did look brighter, however, and he sighed rather heavily as he went down the corridor. They are always wanting me to eat things when I don't want to eat things, said Colin, as the nurse brought in the tea and put it by the table by the sofa. Now, if you will eat, I will eat. Those muffins look nice and hot. Tell me about Rajah's. There you go. That was chapter 14. Next chapter, chapter 15, is nest building. So, for our end part tonight, I'll just talk to you a little bit about, because we've got lots and lots of new people here, you see, so I thought I'd just kind of explain where we are, what we're doing, etc., just in case you didn't know. So, I previously had a different YouTube channel where I read stories. The books I read on that one were more modern stories, very recent, some of them, and I hit about 7,000 subscribers on it. But unfortunately, when I hit 7,000 subscribers, something happened that triggered a copyright claim on there. And so because I record in chapters, there was a lot of chapters for this one book, so therefore a lot of videos for this one book. Every single one of the chapters got a copyright claim on it, which I think in the end was 35 or something like that, which meant that YouTube removed my channel with immediate effect. As you can imagine, my heart was broken. I'd done it since lockdown, so about 2021 I'd had that channel, and I uploaded pretty much daily, and there were a lot of videos on there. I think I was getting close to 2,000 videos, 7,000 subscribers. I think I was getting close, possibly. Please, veterans of the old channel, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was like edging towards 2,000, but yeah, that all went, and I couldn't get back on YouTube. None of that rubbish. So I started again, this channel, and I've started from scratch, but this time, to avoid any copyright issues, what I'm doing is only reading books that are in the public domain. Books that are in the public domain are books whose author has been dead for more than 70 years. And after that point in the book's life, when its parent, its author, has been dead for 70 plus years, it doesn't have copyright in it anymore. So this is one of those books. I can't remember the name of the list now off the top of my head. Go. It starts with a G, doesn't it? Gutenberg Project, something like that, isn't it? But it's got the list on there of all of the stories that are in the public domain. So they're the books that I'll be reading. I had a few people who've found me again. So the old channel used to be called Mr. S Does a Story. You don't need to search for it because it doesn't exist anymore. And like I said, I had a lot of people on there and I made good friends with people on there. I had regulars, I had people who'd just drop in. I'd have people who, for want of a better word, lurked. So they'd watch, but they didn't ever feel like they wanted to comment, which of course is absolutely fine. But I made some really, really good relationships, I suppose, friendships on there as well. But lots of people didn't know that I'd been removed because obviously it just happened just like that. But now, because people are searching, I guess, for Mr. S, which dangerously looks very close to Mrs., I think people are starting to find me again. So hello, those of you who've found the channel again. I hope you stick around. Those of you who are new, who weren't here for Mr. S Does a Story, welcome on board. I hope you're enjoying it. If I just show you, you can roughly see where we are in this book here. Look. So we're about just over halfway, I reckon, now of that book. So eventually we'll be choosing our next book to read as well. All right. Like I said, on the other channel, I did used to upload pretty much daily. It was exhausting. I'll be honest with you, it was exhausting. And up my sleeve, I've started making a phonics channel as well because I'm a teacher, a primary teacher, and I work with mega young children who learn their phonics. So I've started to make a phonics channel as well. That's taken a lot of effort because I'm doing some really kind of big editing jobs on that one, you see. So I'm kind of balancing the two, Mr. S, story time with Mr. S, and phonics with Mr. S as well, which the channel is there, but I haven't put any videos on it yet. So that's what I'm doing. Those of you who are curious. However, there is a Discord, and I'll link the Discord below. There's quite a few people on Discord, and we do sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's busy on there. Okay, so if you want to come on there and just have a conversation, I'm generally available, and my phone will bzz every time someone sends me a message. So if you want to come on there and have a little chat about something, then you join the Discord. It's absolutely fine. It's a free world, isn't it? You don't have to join a Discord, but it's there if you want to. All right. There's also an Instagram page, and I have to make sure I get the right Instagram page name here because I get myself very, very confused. It's Mr. S Reads to You. So Mr. underscore S underscore reads underscore to, as in the digit, underscore you, as in the single letter. Again, I'll link it below. So Discord, look in the description. Instagram, look in the description. Okay, they're all there. I haven't put much on the Instagram, I don't think, really. Let's have a little look. Yeah, I've just put 2 photos of me created by AI and a picture of Phoebe when it was her birthday. That's all I've put on the Instagram. But it's there. It's there if you want to join it. Okay? So there you go. There's a little bit of Wiffle Waffle because lots of people were upset that I haven't been doing Wiffle Waffle. At the end of the old stories, on Mr. S Does a Story, I used to have a section called Waffle, and I would literally just waffle on about how my day was. Because some of us are quite new, I didn't want to push you away, turn you away, scare you away by doing that at the end of a story. If you're reading this story or listening to it for a bedtime story, you don't want to be having all this in your ear as you're trying to drift off to sleep, do you? But I can start the waffle again if people want waffle, I can do it. So there you go. That's what it is. Anyway, I'm now about to go and be dad taxi because Phoebe's going out on the town tonight. So I'm going to go and drive her to the town and drop her off somewhere. Anyway, I'll see you all soon. All right. Bye-bye.